If you're getting into horror, there are certain films you must own. Here is a list of must-own horror films. This list has been compiled by Michael Myers. Right, yeah, thanks for the intro there, Michael. Yeah, here's Sullivan, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Just got a video today. Today's going to be um, must-own horror films. Michael came round and he compiled them and said these are the films that everyone should own. So I'm going to do a list of, well, show you them, but I'm not going to do like a 1 to 10. It's not like a, like a 1 to 10 thing, like a top 10. It's just a list of films that I think everyone should own if they're getting into horror films. So they're not in any order, so I'll get started. Um, Candyman with Tony Todd, 1980s classic, sort of 90s classic sort of slasher film. It's definitely one worth owning. Basically, it's about a sort of an urban legend, Candyman. If you say his name 5 times, I've said it 3 already. Um, he comes back and he sort of kills you. So I'm not saying it anymore. So that's in there. Another classic that you must own is Dracula, starring Gary Oldman as Dracula. You know the story, guys. This is this is the adaptation of the book of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Fantastic movie. If you've not seen it, then you're missing out on one of the greatest sort of horror films of our generation. Really good. Next up is Child's Play, which is Chucky, obviously, but it's in this box set here, Child Play. But I'm going to say Child Play 1, although it's not my favourite. I mean, I don't know what my favourite is. I do like the second one, and I like the Seed of Chucky. But Child Play 1 is a must own because it's sort of like it started the franchise. Just like Friday the 13th. I mean, Friday the 13th, the first one's not my favourite, but it's always going to be a classic because it's the start of a franchise. Some classic horror movies now. There's a whole set of them here. You must own these. These are the Universal pictures. Specifically, you must own Dracula with Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, The Mummy with Boris Karloff. Not too much that one. The Bride of Frankenstein again with Boris Karloff, definitely. The Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. Those films in that box set you definitely need to. So you probably best just get in this box set. It's a must own. They're classics, Universal monster movies, which are fantastic. Right, another classic, Carrie with Sissy Spacek. I've talked about this one loads and loads of times. Obviously, about a girl that owns these sort of like supernatural telepathic powers, and it's a revenge movie. Really cool film. Definitely one worth you must have in your collection. Another one is a Hammer film. Dr. Jekyll, Sister Hyde. You know I love this film. I did a review not so long ago. If you've not seen it, go back over my channel and you can watch it. Really cool film. It's a must own in your collection. Uh, Swedish film next. Let the Right One In. It's a vampire story. Must own this in your horror collection. It's a fantastic film. Brilliantly acted, beautifully shot, great soundtrack. It's got everything going for it, and the story is really compelling. Really cool. Classic 1960s film now that started the sort of like the zombie sort of films, and it's the George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Again, his films are obviously infamous for being amazing zombie films. He did the Dawn of the Dead after, then Day of the Dead. He's done Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead. So this one knows the one that started them all, and that's Night of the Living Dead. That must be in your collection if you're a horror fan. Of course, another 60s one that must be in your collection if you're a horror fan is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho with Anthony Perkins. Obviously, it's about a guy with split personality. Really, really good film. really intense, and why it's a really important film and must own, because not all horror films are jump scares, not all horror films are gore. Some of them are slow burns and some of them are awesome, and you need that slow burn to get to the scares and the jump scares, and this one's got them in it. So that's a really good film, Psycho. Another 1981 werewolf movie next, and that's An American Werewolf in London. Brilliant film. It's fantastic. It's got great ingredients of every sort of modern day horror from the 80s. It's got comedy, it's got like gore, it's got a good story, it's got atmosphere, it's got some jump scares, it's got a great monster, it's got some great effects. Brilliant film. It's got everything going for it. Directed by John Landis. Really good film. All right, an Italian film next. This is an Italian sort of gore fest film, and that's Demons. Everyone should own this if you're a horror fan. It's a fun film. It's not nothing serious. It's a really, really good sort of story where they're in a cinema watching the horror film, and there's a mask in the horror film that a girl gets scratched by and it's on display in the lobby, and she ends up turns to a demon, and they take over the cinema. It's a really classic sort of 80s sort of gore fest, really. It's not a slasher. It's just a sort of like people trying to escape from a cinema, and there's loads of demons and they're turning into demons. So really good film, really cool. Must be on your list. It's quite a long list, isn't it, guys? So there's just so many films that you must own in your collection. Next up is the classic Sam Raimi film, Evil Dead. Fantastic film. You must own this. It's one of the infamous Video Nasty films that, you know, that was banned for years and years and years. Even when a load of Video Nasties made it back on the shelves, this took a while. This one, I believe, even went to court and won their court case, and then it got a proper release. Another sort of a film that was banned for a long, long time, even after the Video Nasty sort of period. This was still banned, and this is William Blackley's The Exorcist. Obviously, this box set contains all of them, but I'm specifically talking about the first one. It's a must-own film with Linda Blair playing the young child Reagan, who gets possessed by the actual devil, and about a priest performing an exorcism. Classic film. It was like it sort of kick-started a sort of like the possession sort of genre in the horror films, and it was quite disturbing at the time, and it was quite not horrific as such. There was some gore in there, but it was more of the satanic sort of way it was filmed, and there's a lot of stories from the filmmakers about when things that happened, people dying, and some of the crew dying whilst the making of the film. It's quite a yeah, almost like that. It's definitely one you need in your collection. It really is. The Exorcist. If you've not seen it, it's probably one of the greatest horror films of all time. And to match that in the 70s was a boy possessed, and obviously it's The Omen. You must own The Omen. Great film with starring Gregory Peck. Great film. All three are good, to be honest. First one is brilliant. The second one's really cool, and I love the last one as well with Sam Neill, which is brilliant. He plays Damien in that one. Really great series of films. But actually, I'm going to say all three. You need all three in your collection. It's a must-have. Is the Omen trilogy. A bit more of a sort of more modern-y sort of one that you must own, and that's Sinister. Ethan Hawke stars in this one, about a guy that moves. He's like a writer, and he's moved to a house that was killings happened in the house, and he finds in the attic some found footage tapes of killings that happened in the house over the years, and that's why he's moved in there. And his wife finds out, and then they obviously get visited by that demon Bagor. It's a really, really cool film, Sinister. Of course, it's not going to be a must-own horror by me if it hasn't got Alien in it. So, of course, Alien, you must own this. You probably already do. It's the classic sci-fi horror. It's the one that kicked off that sort of genre, really, of the sci-fi horror. Alien. I mean, without this, again, we wouldn't have so many amazing films that we've got today if it wasn't for Alien. we wouldn't have had this one probably. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. This is another must one that you must have in your collection. John Carpenter is probably one of the greatest horror directors of all time. He's just made some of the best films you've ever seen. The Thing, Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, The Fog, They Live. It goes on and on and on. Classic horror films. And The Thing is amazing. It's probably his only gory sort of film. It's a Guess Who horror. Really good film. Talking of John Carpenter, we can't leave this one out, can we? And that's obviously Halloween. Well, I think Michael would have been upset if I'd have missed it out, to be honest. So that's why I put it in there. But no, definitely one you have to have in your collection is Halloween. I don't know why I've taken that off. It's exactly the same. Yeah, must have. Slashers. It really kicked off the 80s slasher. Slashers were about before this, but this sort of kick-started the 80s slasher films. Really, this is a 1970s film, but it really kick-started it into the 1978 that came out. But then we had like a reel of them coming out. The Burning, you know, what another great film. Friday the 13th franchise, and that is also in here. Friday the 13th franchise, all of them. Halloween, I'm not going to say all of them. You must own all of them. Definitely the first one, and definitely the second one. You definitely need those in your collection. I will do a video of Halloween films, rating them sort of like good to bad. There's no bad, but rating them to like up to my favourite. I will do that. Yeah, Friday the 13th. You must own all of these because they're all cool. They're all cheesy. They're all sort of bad and good at the same time. They're just fantastic. Love Friday the 13th. It's probably my favourite franchise of movies. I mean, you know, I love Halloween, but Friday the 13th is definitely my favourite. So that's it, guys. That's a list of must-own horror films if you're getting into horror, or if you're already into horror. They're the ones that you really must have in your collection. They're the staple of the. Sorry about that, guys. My camera decided to die on me. Yeah, so if you're just getting into the hobby of horror movies, or you're into the horror movies, they are the staple. They are the ones that you should really have in your collection. Michael wants to say goodbye, so I'll let him say goodbye to you all. So until next time, you look after yourselves, and I really hope I'll see you all soon. Well, I hope he put Halloween in there. He's better off. If you like this video, check out some other channels. Horror Hands, Man v Film, Horror in Todge, Sarah vs Horror, and Russell's RS Designs. If I see you later, you're next.